It seems like nowadays, big monsters are just popping up everywhere on the big screen. From Rampage to the Monsterverse to the MCU and the DCU/EU, whatever. Big monsters are just kind of becoming a staple in live action movies and games. But which ones are the largest, the biggest, the heaviest? Well, let's find out. Let's get it. But first, an honorable mention. For those who have seen the new Godzilla Kong movie, The New Empire, you probably remember this guy, this massive Titan skeleton. Kong is now 356 feet tall, and that's him on its skull right there. And he's literally a fraction of this guy's skull, let alone his entire body. I know it's dead, but could this mean that there's Titans this side roaming around in the hollow earth? I don't know, man. Probably not. I feel like we would have seen one, on the big screen at this point. But I just wanted to mention this guy. According to the YouTube channel Goji Center, who used Kong as a scale, this guy is roughly 17,524 feet long, or 3.32 miles. And he definitely would have been on this list if he was still alive. But anyways, moving on. The Kraken from Clash of the Titans. In Clash of the Titans, Hades created this giant sea monster to defend the Titans, which it did, and was to defeat the Titans, which it did, and was then locked away. They did this because even the gods feared this thing. I couldn't find a confirmed size for this guy, but he's anywhere between 300 feet tall and 300 meters tall, or 984 feet. And I'd definitely say this guy is on the taller end of that estimation. Moving forward from here, every monster I mention is over 1,000 feet tall or long. Godzilla Earth. This version of Godzilla rose in the year 2030 and laid waste to both humanity and the other monsters for the next 18 years. This is because of Godzilla's Earth has a connection to the Earth, and humanity was destroying the planet trying to fight the other monsters. So he showed up and just took both out. Alright, problem solved. This guy is by far the biggest version of Godzilla ever seen, standing at 1,043 feet tall and weighing 100,000 tons. Which is weird because the monster versus Godzilla, who is significantly shorter than that, weighs the same amount. I don't know. That's just weird. But anyways, that's Godzilla Earth. The sandworm from Dune. This was an autotrophic animal that lived in the vast deserts and sand dunes of the planet Arrakis. These worms were studied to grow up to 450 meters long, or 1,476 feet long. Pretty freaking massive. The Exor from Star Wars. Also known as space slugs, Exogorths are members of a silicon-based sentient species that resided in the hollows of asteroids. They reach full maturity at 10 meters long, but they can grow up to 900 meters long, or 2,952 feet. Han Solo had flown the Millennium Falcon into one without even realizing he did so. And this ship was 114 feet long, and he just flew into one without even realizing it. That's how big these fuckers are. Excuse my language. The main Cloverfield monster that we saw in the Cloverfield movie that was trampling over buildings and tanking everything the military threw at it was about 300 feet tall. But that one was just an infant, a little baby. An adult Cloverfield monster that we see at the end of the movie is the one we're talking about. And it can reach up to 6,500 feet tall. 6,500 feet tall. And their heads can reach over the lowest clouds. Here's a comparison. The little one is the one we mainly saw in the movie. The big one is a fully grown adult. Yeah. Pretty big. Considered a great old one within the pantheon of Lovecraftian cosmic entities, Cthulhu is basically a god and is even worshipped as one by cultists. He's depicted as a giant octopus, dragon, human, tribrid thing, although humans can't comprehend his actual form without dying or going mentally insane, brain dead, etc. I found a lot of different sizes for him, but he's tall enough to peek over the ocean's surface while standing at the bottom of the ocean, like on the ocean's floor. Not to mention, one of his many powers is size alteration, with no known limit, meaning he can reach hundreds, if not thousands of meters tall, and he could have been placed higher on this list. But I thought this was a good place for him, because everything else is so much bigger. He could be as big as them, but everything is stated to be bigger than all the sizes I saw that Cthulhu was. So that's why I put him here. DCEU's Kraken. She's a colossal, sentient, ancient sea monster that dwells in the lowest depths of the ocean. Even King Atlan feared her. She's easily one of, if not the most powerful being on Earth, and that's partly just due to her size. There's nothing as big as her on Earth. She was 2 miles long. Straight up 2 miles long. 10,560 feet long. The biggest living thing we've ever seen in the DCE or the DCU, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. MCU Serter. In his weakened state, Serter was like maybe twice the size of an average dude. But when Loki started the internal flame, everything changed. Upon busting out of the royal palace, he was roughly 400 feet tall. But he just kept growing and growing and growing. And guess what? Growing. Just kept growing. To the point he was towering over mountains while kneeling over. Wasn't even standing up all the way. And when he destroyed Asgard, he stood 4,000 meters tall. Or over 13,000 feet. Dude is massive, and outside of the Celestials in the MCU, I don't think there's anything as big as Serter. Summa Verminoth from Star Wars. These were gigantic, spacefaring species of legend that dwelled around the planet of Kessel. While often misunderstood, they are described as the galaxy's greatest predator. Massive simply does not describe how big these things can get. They can reach 7,432 meters long. That's also 24,383 feet or 4.6 miles in length. Massive. Gigantuan. And the 3 guys above him, just even bigger. And massive and gigantuan just doesn't even describe them. The monsters coming after the Summa Verminoth. Ogdru Jahad from Hellboy. These are monstrous serpentine/crustacean supernatural entities that once resided on and presides over Earth. They're pitiless, chaotic, bent on destruction and subjugation, and often so horrific in appearance that just looking at one might induce madness. And they're arguably Hellboy's most powerful foes. And yeah, I'd say so. Their exact size is unknown, but they're as tall as mountain ranges, and others have stated that they're tens of kilometers tall. Like dozens of kilometers tall. That's pretty freaking big. Next, Void Ghidorah. This is by far the most powerful and largest version of King Ghidorah. He's a golden 3-headed dragon kaiju that lives in the void between dimensions and consumes entire worlds. His total length was half the size of Manhattan. That's 12.4 miles, or 65,616 feet. He completely dwarfed Godzilla Earth, and we all remember how big he was when I listed him earlier. Who in the world could be bigger than that? Bigger than Void Ghidorah? Well, I'll tell you. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but the world serpent from God of War. Once a giant who locked his soul alongside his kin in these magical marbles, once he was freed by the champion, he was just this massive growing serpent that lived in the Lake of Nine. He once fought Thor in a battle that was felt across the 9 realms that ended in a stalemate. His exact length is unknown, but it's said that he can reach all around Midgard. And if Midgard in God of War is anything like Midgard from real world mythology, that's 24,901 miles, or 131,477,280 feet. Over 131 million feet long. Whoa. That's like twice the size of Void Ghidorah, and he is by far the biggest monster to ever be seen in any sort of pop culture. Well, that's my list. Please let me know if I missed a monster. I could have missed a monster in any other movie, video game, TV show, whatever. I could have missed 1 or 2 or a dozen, who knows. But anyways, like and subscribe if you did enjoy. Leave a comment of what you thought, and hit the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos and all that great stuff. I truly do appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace!